Imagine the following scenario. You go to see a film with a good friend, somebody who has similar tastes that you have, and you're watching the film in the theater. It's unbelievable. The acting is incredible. The special effects are great. The music is just amazing, and you're enjoying every single moment. But you turn to your friend, and your friend seems totally bored and uninterested and yawning. You can't understand it. After the film, you turn to them and say, what was the problem? That was such a great film. And they say back, well, it wasn't actually. It was quite dull. Well, how is it possible? How can it be that two people can watch exactly the same film and have such different reactions to it? This is something that I see in my communal work. We can host a program in our shul, a learning program, perhaps a meal with a speaker, and afterwards a congregant will come to me and say, that was absolutely unbelievable. What a great program. The speaker was good, the food was good. Another congregant will come and say to me, what a terrible program. The food was awful, the speaker wasn't very good, they went on for too long. And I think to myself, what was going on over here? Were these people at the same event? Perhaps they were at two different events. How could they have such different reactions? And perhaps to understand this, we can look at something in our parasha. Our parasha, Parashat Shelach, is famous for the spies. The spies at the beginning of the parasha. But there are also spies at the end of the parasha. The Torah tells us in the parasha of Tzitzit, the third paragraph of the Shema, that speaks about the obligation to wear tassels on our garments, to make a talis, to make tzitzit, to remind ourselves of the mitzvot of Hashem. And then it warns us, V'lo taturu acharei levavchem acharei einechem. Do not go astray after your hearts and after your eyes. It uses the same word as at the beginning of the parasha. The beginning of the parasha speaks about the spies that Moshe dispatched, latur et haaretz, to spy out the land. And here the Torah says, Lo taturu acharei levavchem. Do not go astray, do not go after the spies. Who are the spies? The heart and the eyes. They are the spies of the body. They go out and they look for sin and they bring it back to the body. They are the agents, if you like, of the body in doing that which is incorrect. So we have spies at the end of the parasha. But there's something very strange about that verse. It doesn't seem to be in the correct order. Lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. Do not go astray after your heart and after your eyes. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Isn't it usually that a person sees something with the eyes first and that has an impact upon their heart? Or the other senses, the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, the sense of smell. First, there is the sensual impact upon us, and then that has an impact upon our hearts and our minds. Why does the Torah turn it around? Do not go astray after your heart and after your mind. But in fact, the order is correct. And this is what our sages teach us in the Midrash. That our senses only work in accordance to what is our attitude. If we have a particular attitude and we concentrate, that is going to have an impact on what our senses take in. So, for example, in the case of the film, two people can watch the same thing. They have the same sensual experience, but it's very different because of their different attitudes. You came into the cinema really just wanting to have a relaxing time and to enjoy the movie. And therefore the movie was enjoyable. Whereas the other person perhaps was feeling down or depressed, and therefore it just didn't resonate with them, even though they had the same sensual experience altogether. And that's what the Torah says. It depends on your attitude, what your eyes will see. If you have a good attitude to something, maybe your eyes will see it in a positive light. If you have a bad attitude towards something, maybe your eyes will see it in a negative light. Maybe you will be affected more by a scene than another person will be affected by because of different attitudes, upbringings, and beliefs. And there's a very interesting example about this in the Code of Jewish Law. The context is actually the laws of shchita, ritual slaughter. And one of the most difficult parts of ritual slaughter is to make sure that the knife is razor sharp. There can be no nicks in the knife whatsoever. And a shoichet will spend a great deal of time making sure that the blade is honed as sharp as possible. He takes a fingernail and runs it up and down the blade to feel if there are any notches whatsoever. And the Code of Jewish Law says he ought to be very careful and concentrate when he does that. Because sometimes he can do it for a few moments and feel nothing, no notches. And then when he really pays attention, he feels a notch. Well, what's the difference? Either way, it's the same sensual experience. It's the sense of touch. And yet when he concentrated, he was able to pick it up. Well, you see, that's the difference. The senses are not independent of your attitudes and your understanding and your intention. If you focus, then you can see more. Sometimes something can be right in front of your eyes, but you don't really see it because you weren't focusing. You need to be focused. You have to have your heart in place. And that's what the Torah says. Lo tatu acharei levavchem ba'acharei einechem. Do not go astray after your heart and then your eyes, because your heart is going to impact upon what your eyes see. Those are the spies that act for the body. If you have a good attitude, then your senses are going to give you a good experience. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.